Hello and welcome back again. My name is Nathan House, and if you could like or subscribe to this video, that would be appreciated. Again, I am with the Houston Church of Christ in Houston, California. Thank you again for joining me today. We're going to be back in the book of Psalm. We're going to look at Psalm 26 today. And before we get actually to the text, just a couple of things to think about as we look at this text. How many of us have been accused of something that was not true, something that was false, someone made false accusations, attacked our integrity, attacked who we are, our character, our Christian walk? How many of us have been attacked in this way? You know, it's kind of a sad thing that right now in our society, people are frequently falsely attacked. There's false accusations made. There's claims that are levied against people without evidence. And unfortunately, many times people believe these false accusations without investigating them, and very damaging, hurtful, thing that when someone accuses you of something, you want to prove, you want to demonstrate that these accusations aren't true. When someone attacks your character, your Christian walk, this is something that is difficult, painful, destructive, can destroy a ministry, can destroy a family. False accusations happen. And we're going to look here at Psalm 26, and King David is going to want God to vindicate him. Someone has attacked his character, has attacked his integrity, and so David is asking God to vindicate him. God demonstrate beyond any reasonable doubt, right, that I am not these things that I have been accused of. So we're going to be in Psalm 26. Frequently, this is considered a psalm of lament, but there's definitely some other elements to it as well. There's definitely an element of trust as well as you look at this psalm. Yes, David laments his situation. He asks God to intervene, but he is also confident that God will intervene. He's confident because of who God is. So he's confident for two reasons. Let me lay this out a little again. He is confident because of who God is, but he is also confident because of who he is. And so David knows who he is. He knows the walk he has lived his life by. Again, integrity does not mean flawlessness or sinlessness. Integrity does not imply someone doesn't make mistakes, but integrity really is when your claims, when those things that you claim about yourself line up with the actions you do, line up with your heart. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean you're perfect, but the life you proclaim to live is what you are trying to live. It always bothers me when people say, well, we're all hypocrites. I've heard so many people say that in the church, in a Christian walks, right? We're all hypocrites. Well, I take that offensive. I'm offended by that. Do we all make mistakes? Absolutely. But that is a very different thing from all being hypocrites. Anyways, let's go ahead and I'm going to give you kind of let's look at the text here real quick, and then we'll come back and kind of break it down and go from there. So here's Psalm 26. This is from the English Standard Version. You can, of course, follow along or open up your own text. But David begins with this claim. First of all, he begins with a request based off of a claim. Vindicate me. So there is this request, right? God, I want you to vindicate me. And then why does David want this vindication? It's based off of what? It's based off of how David has lived his life. Oh Lord, vindicate me, oh Lord. Well, why? Why should God vindicate you? For I have walked in my integrity. And we'll see this word integrity will occur again in verse 11 down here, where David again claims to walk in integrity. For I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted in the Lord without wavering. Prove me, O Lord, and try me. Test my heart and my mind. For your steadfast love is before my eyes, and I walk in your faithfulness. Why is David confident? Because he knows his past. He knows he has in the past lived his life. His walk has been a walk of integrity. He has trusted in the Lord. That's what he has done in his past. So then he again makes this request, right? Vindicate me, prove me, try me, test my heart and my mind. God, see if there's something false in me, right? To test me. This looks back at the idea of taking metal and removing its impurities. Is this metal pure gold, or does it have other metals in it? Has it been adulterated with other metals, aluminum or whatever, right? Has this been, maybe not aluminum, but has it been adulterated? God, test me. Am I what I claim to be? Am I gold or am I not? So he asks God, he invites God to test him. And he's confident, again, because of two reasons. Because he knows who he is, and also he is confident because he knows who God is. God's love is steadfast before his eyes. So he invites God, he asks God to vindicate him, to test him, to try him based off of David's walk. David has walked in integrity. Then David moves on, demonstrating another aspect of his integrity, another aspect of his walk. He has not walked, he has not associated with, he has not been a partaker in those who are wicked, doing evil things. He's not done these things. And again, when you look at verse 4 and 5, this should definitely take you back to Psalm chapter 1. So go back and read Psalm 1 on your own and look at that compared to verse 4 and 5. But look at verse 4 and 5. I do not sit. So he's now moved. And again, I'm not saying the text is completely lined up its way, but there seems to be a little bit of an aspect of David's past, David's present, and we'll see in a moment David's future. So again, I have walked. Here's his past, right? I do not sit with men of falsehood, nor do I consort with hypocrites. I hate the assembly of evildoers. I will not sit with the wicked. And again, go back and look at Psalm 1, right? Where David is laying out what the wise man does versus what the fool does, right? The righteous versus the wicked, I should say. I don't sit with men of falsehood. I don't consort with hypocrites. I hate the assembly of evildoers. And again, this is going to be in contrast. He doesn't spend his time in the assembly of those who are doing wicked things, nor should we. But this is one of the things that David points to demonstrate his integrity. I don't hang out with these types of people. I don't sit with the wicked. I hate their assembly. Now that's going to be in contrast to the fact that David loves to be in the presence of God. He loves to be where God is. And again, he'll say finally in verse 12, my foot stands on level ground. In the great assembly, I will bless the Lord. So here we have this idea of he hates the assembly of the evildoers. But you know where he is? He's worshiping God. David worships God. He gathers in the assembly of God's people, with God's people, and he loves to go there. So again, his claims of his innocence, his claims of his integrity are once again seen by who he spends his time with, who he fellowships with. Then he moves on from this aspect to demonstrate his integrity by his worship, by how he worships God. I wash my hands in innocence and go around your altar, O Lord, proclaiming thanksgiving aloud and telling of all your wondrous deeds. O Lord, I like to break this up verses 6 through 8 here, verses, because I think there's kind of goes back to this worship aspect of verses 6 and 7. O Lord, I love the habitation of your house and the place where your glory dwells. So when I come around your altar, when I'm in the habitation of your house where your glory dwells, I love it. In this place, I come with my hands that are innocent. God, I come to you and I worship you in innocence. I proclaim thanksgiving aloud. I tell of your wondrous deeds. I love to come where your house is. So again, David's worship demonstrates his integrity. Verse 9 and 10, then David makes again another request, right? The first request was, God, vindicate me. Here we have another request. God, verse 9, do not sweep my soul away with sinners, right? I don't hang out with these type of people, the wicked, the evildoers, the hypocrites, those who are false. So he says, God, don't sweep me away with sinners, nor my life with bloodthirsty men, in whose hands are evil devices, and in whose right hands are full of bribes. You see, David is a man of integrity. He doesn't spend time with those types of people. He doesn't want God to lump him together. Have you ever been lumped together with a certain type of person? And you thought, I remember in the past one individual who was claiming his Christianity. He was claiming that he was, a believer, claiming to be a member of the church, all of these things. And this man who I knew very well was using all sorts of language all the time. Everybody that was in his presence at that time knew that his life did not demonstrate his claims. And it bothered me because I claimed to be a Christian, and while not perfect, I certainly tried my best to live that way. Again, not perfect, make mistakes. But I was sitting there like, man, I don't want them to clump him together with me. I don't want people to look at them and say, well, that's Christianity, and lump them together. So here he says, don't sweep me away with people like that, God. So then in verse 11 through 12, I think you kind of see an aspect of future, right? I think we kind of see this past, present, future aspect a little bit in this psalm. Verse 11 and 12. But as for me, I shall walk in my integrity. Now, the ESV makes it sound like it's definite future, but this is called an imperfect verb, meaning it's talking about something that he has done in the past and he kind of continues to do. It doesn't really have an end in sight. So I think there's a future element to it, but it's not a future verb necessarily. But he says, but as for me, I shall walk in my integrity. This is what he plans to do. I will walk in my integrity. I will be walking in my integrity. So again, that word integrity occurs. Redeem me. Be gracious to me. So notice these requests once again here. These requests are based off of what? Because of David's confidence in who he is, because he has been a person of integrity. He is confident because of who God is as well. We need to be confident of our salvation because of who we are, and obviously more importantly because of who God is. But we should be able to, the writer First John writes in First John, that we need to have this confidence of our salvation, right? We need to be able to know that we're saved. We need to know that we have this salvation. My foot stands on level ground. That kind of goes back to verse 1 there. I have walked in my integrity. That's how he has walked. His foot stands on level ground. And as a result, in the great assembly, I will bless the Lord. See, that's where David is found. He's not found in the assembly, verse 5, of evildoers. He's in the assembly of the Lord. He is a man of integrity. And because of this, he asks God to vindicate him. He asks God to redeem him, to be gracious to him, to those false accusations, to make everybody understand these things are false and lies and not true. Real quickly, I want to share with you a couple small things on the screen. Some of it's kind of repetitive, but so this is from a book called Integrity. It tells a story that I think fits with what we're talking about. For Coach Cleveland Stroud and the Bulldogs of Rockdale County High School, it was their championship season, 21 wins, 5 losses on the way to the Georgia boys basketball tournament in March of 1987. Then a dramatic come-from-behind victory in the state finals. So they're state champions, right? How amazing is this story? Great little story. But now the new glass trophy is empty. Earlier this month, the Georgia High School Association deprived Rockdale County of the championship after, look at this, school officials. They told on themselves. School officials said that a player who was scholastically ineligible had played 45 seconds in the first of the school's 5 postseason games. So one player played 45 seconds in the first of their 5 postseason games. The story continues. Coach Stroud made this comment. We didn't know he was ineligible at the time. We didn't know it until a few weeks ago. Some people have said we should have just kept quiet about it, that it was just 45 seconds and the player wasn't an impact player. But this should say God, but you've got to do what's honest and right and what the rules say. I told my team that people forget the scores of basketball games. They don't ever forget what you're made of. You see, that's integrity. Nobody would have ever known. But you see, Mr. Stroud and perhaps the school officials as well, I'm not sure who all was included in this, they saw this as a violation of the rules, as not being honest, as not being right. So they reported this incident. They lost their state championship. But as he goes on to say, people forget the scores, but they don't forget what you're made of. So the question kind of is who are we? What are we made of? So David's kind of real quickly, as I kind of already went through this, David's walk. He walks in integrity. David's companions, presently, he doesn't spend time with those wicked evildoers. David's worship that he brought to God, David's requests. And again, we see requests made several times through here. And then David's promise. And again, this is an imperfect verb, but I think that definitely seems to be an element of God, David's plan for the future as well. And I say all that to make for this last slide. I don't remember where I stole this from, and it's not exactly quoted accurately either, but I wrote it down some years ago, and so I'm going to share it with you here. Integrity should influence how we deal with our past, how we live in the present, and how we shape our future. Integrity should deal with integrity should influence how we deal with our past. Just like the story that I just shared with you, of Coach Stroud. It impacted his integrity, impact how he dealt with this past. It should impact how we live in the present. It should shape our future. And as we look at this short little psalm, the question is, and the question should be, who are we really? Are we people of integrity? Do the claims that we make about our lives, do the claims we make about who we are match the person that we really are? The person that we see in the mirror, that maybe it's a person your family sees, but nobody else sees. Maybe it's a person even your own family doesn't see. Are we people of integrity? Are we authentic? Let's be people that live lives of integrity, and let's let that integrity shape our impact how we deal with our past, how we live right now, and how we shape our future. I want to thank you for your time, and you guys have a great day. God bless.